Okay, so now we have another speaker. You've probably seen him around the globe.
He left because somebody's following us. Okay, followed us from that road, friends were in the back. So I said, go around this building, turn the lights off. 8 o'clock last night, RCMP called. They got his license plate from somebody. He said, did they tell you they were following us? No, have a good night, sir. That's harassment.
Okay, so I can't tell you how
I got the
terrifying
feeling
it
it's
is to speak in front of
two
people right
different
now.
people.
Oh, Canada.
When he said the fault, somebody's following us. Like, now. And they were, and then an hour later we were home. And we got a complaint we weren't wearing a
Okay, I'll take
mask.
the mask.
We don't need to wear
so
masks. It's all right.
I'm absolutely petrified of standing in front of people and speaking. I have been my
I
entire
posted it
life.
on the Warrior site
Teaching
so
like a
people
leaf
can
right
know.
now, but I have to say something.
I know.
And if more people don't, I'm scared of what's going to happen. So I'll do what I have to do.
Thank you.
So I wrote this the other day.
Yep.
I'm
That's what
just
they're
going to
saying.
read
I know
through it.
we've all
I'm not a
read it.
speaker. I'm terrible at it. I took courses in college trying to get through it. I can't. So I'm just going to read, and I hope it comes
So
across.
if you speak again, you can, you
Uh,
know, you can let them know
So I
there's
spent the
people
better
that
part of my
speak. I think
career
they're being
as a
paid.
data analyst, and my official education is an engineer. As an engineer, we're taught to understand systems and look at data and interpret the analysis, or interpret, analyze, and try to understand what is going on. So for an analyst and an engineer, understanding virology and immunology is not that big of a stretch. And it's not that complex, to be honest. The body's just a machine. So early on, I always thought COVID was nothing more than a bad flu. And as we go, put my mouth right into it. Okay. So I lost my place. I'm so sorry I lost my place.
Okay.
So early in March, when all this started, I was pretty certain it was going to be just another deadly respiratory illness, like all the other ones that have come along and never killed us to date. I figured that those were going to die were likely to die from the flu anyway. It's just susceptible populations succumbing to another virus. Go right to my mouth. There we go. Okay. So when I started to look really close at the data, I started looking into respiratory illness transmission and how they typically trend. I remember March 14th, I made a post on Facebook about herd immunity and how locking everything down and everyone staying in their homes was going to do nothing but delay the inevitable, delay the deaths, draw it out over a longer period of time. It wasn't going to save anybody, it's just delaying deaths. I can't even express to you the amount of hate I got from people. I had friends calling me on the phone, telling me they were never going to speak to me again. I was asking for people to die. Herd immunity doesn't exist and it's stupid, and I'm a sociopath. So I started to look into and track the spread of COVID versus regular flu in New Brunswick. After all the lockdowns and all the other measures were working, if they're working for COVID, they should work for flu as well, right? They're both respiratory illnesses, they both spread in the exact same way. What I found that was, despite the measures taken by our oh so wonderful leader Higgs and Russell, who is not a doctor but a politician, influenza was still spreading fast and killing far more people than COVID during the first wave. When I would suggest this and show the data from the NB influenza tracking reports, which anybody can access, I was told that we simply cannot compare this with the flu. No reason why, just that we can't. People would always tell me I can't compare flu to COVID because the flu season started last year while COVID only started in March. Well, that's fine. I decided to compare March to August because that's exactly when COVID was most prevalent. So what was the actual difference? COVID, from March of 2020 to August of 2020, there was 180 cases, 21 total hospitalizations across the entire province, and 2 deaths. Influenza, from the exact same time period, March 2020 to August 2020, there was 339 cases, 45 hospitalizations and 8 deaths. Seems pretty simple to me. I'm not a math magician or anything, but COVID is not as deadly as influenza, at least in the province of New Brunswick. And honestly, that is where I live, so that is what I'm most concerned with. That often prompted the ever so popular, "Don't you care about all the lives elsewhere?" Well, I do, but there are many other issues with the way things are going elsewhere that I simply don't have the time to dig into it all. I prefer to focus on myself and my family and my loved ones. I guess that makes me a horrible person. Yes, I'm a sociopath, I'm a horrible person. So why did the measures put in place not stop the flu, but were for some reason so successful with COVID? When I ask this to people, I get the usual answer, "You're so stupid if you compare the flu. This is not the flu." No explanation as to why, again, of course, just it's not the flu. It doesn't matter if more people are dying from the flu, this is worse, just because it is. The other explanation what I would get is that it did slow flu. This year was a low flu year. We only had 14 deaths when we normally see 30 to 50 deaths. Well, I decided to look into that as well. Was it an all-time low of the flu? Well, no, it actually wasn't. Just 3 years ago, we had the exact same death count for influenza in New Brunswick. 2016-2017 influenza season, we had exactly the same, 14 deaths. Oddly enough, for COVID period of March to August, for that same year, we had only 6 deaths, where this year we had 8 deaths. Although we had measures in place, we had more deaths during this time period of the first wave than we had 3 years ago. So no, this wasn't an all-time low, and no, the measures did not slow flu.
No lies.
So no argument there, just more, you're stupid if you compare COVID to flu. That's it. I don't need to explain myself, you're just stupid. We have been in a state of emergency for 8 months now. I expect to see it extend much further. We have slowly and systematically had our way of life stripped away. No more touching, no more smiling, no more dancing, no more singing. We only have family gatherings we're told is okay by our Lord Higgs and Russell, and only under certain conditions. This isn't in the speech, but often when I hear people say that we can't dance, we can't sing, we can't have joy, it reminds me of the plot of Footloose, and I wish we had Kevin Bacon right now. A little improvisation. Despite
Bacon next time.
Yes, Kevin Bacon, not just bacon, but bacon's good. Despite going through the entire first wave with no masks and essentially no death, we have been put under this new muzzle mandate with no real explanation for it other than other provinces are seeing spikes, so we have to throw everything we can to stop the deadly virus. The complete lack of common sense surrounding the entire situation is baffling. We haven't even addressed the lack of science supporting any of these measures. We're sitting here wondering if we'll be able to have a new normal Christmas, while places like Sweden took the approach I was called sociopath for, herd immunity. Where are they now? If you look at them, yes, they're having a slight uptick in deaths, but they're still less than we are, and we're experiencing this nonsense. They're living like normal. I don't know if I want to fully buy into a grand scheme of New World Order, or if our government is just full of idiots with no idea what they're doing. I like to think it's the latter. At least it gives me a little bit of hope that we might get through this once they realize how stupid they are. All I know is that we have to get past our fears, stand up, speak our truth, and try as hard as we can to wake others up. Even if we lose friends, make our family upset with us, it's important, and I'm sorry it took me so long to speak out. There is also a very pertinent quote that I think applies. Americans are always so willing to trade away a little of their freedom for the feeling, the illusion of security. There is no real security. Canadians seem to be no different. It is only an illusion. We know this isn't about our safety. They don't care about our safety. The government is one big club, and we ain't part of it.
Exactly.
Don't trade away our future for a promise of safety that never comes. Besides, who wants their tombstone to read, "He lived a safe life"? That's all.